I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, November the 10th, brought to you in part by Bromage Commodities. If you're not sure exactly what you want to do, you may want to do some speculating, you may want to move on a hunch, or you may want to use the futures market or options for risk management. You need to get a hold of Candy Sullivan there in Kentucky, and she can sure help you out. And it doesn't matter where you're at, you do everything by the phone. I've got an account with her. I talk to her almost daily, and I think it's somebody you could talk to also. But go to bromageandcommodities.com and get in touch with her. The first positive news we've seen in 4 years, not literally, but it's the first time in 4 years that we've seen some good news come gleefully from mainstream media, and without being kind of patronizing or looking down or having some kind of a jab behind it or something. But your first Monday after Joe Biden declared himself the winner of the election, we had news that all of a sudden Pfizer's got a vaccine for the Wuhan, and it's 90% effective. Now, if President Trump had claimed something like that, or he'd have been involved in it in any way, and they'd have said 90% effective, oh my God, the lips would have turned up and the eyes would have rolled, and they would have went on and on about it and just talked about, oh, you know, what a big boast that was, and how in the world could we ever have anything like that again. But now that they believe that President Trump is gone, it's funny how we can have good news again and allow people to get excited about something. And oh my gosh, did people get excited about it. Your stock market just skyrocketed, thinking that things might get back to normal soon, you know. And the heck of it is, President Trump was telling us for the last several months that we were going to have a vaccine. It's kind of funny that Pfizer, who is not a big fan of President Trump because he's really slashed the prices on pharmaceuticals for humans, that they decided to wait till right after the election to make that announcement. But I tell you what, it's the first positive story we've had in a long time that we were actually able to listen to on mainstream media, and not being told that it was some kind of a mirage or whatever. But I don't know, you know, a lot of things added to your cattle market. Your futures were skyrocketed also, and a lot of times your cattle futures do go up with the stock market. But also, with the news that we're going to have a vaccine before too long, maybe within weeks, and they're going to have tens of millions of doses of it available for anybody that wants to go get it. I'm still saying you're going to have to get me in a high-sided tub with a big yellow hot shot behind me, or I'm not going in. I'm not going in to get it. I'll take my chances with the 99%. But also with the cattle market, as we start this new week, and like I say, a lot of people have kind of accepted the fact that Biden's going to be the next president. Also, your cattle market can kind of boast on the fact that Biden is not likely to hold China's feet to the fire, whether it's on trade, whether it's on stealing our intellectual properties. He's probably going to remove the tariffs on them, and we're probably going to get some goodwill from China. And I think a lot of your beef industry is thinking that that's going to come somewhat in the form of beef. We were already getting to that point right before the corona come in. We were getting right to that point, and basically because President Trump had starved them out, made them obligate themselves to taking huge amounts of farm products, and if they didn't, there would be tariffs on a lot of their stuff, and there's tariffs on a lot of their stuff anyway, and then he was giving that money back to the farmers. But now Biden can claim that he had something to do with that. But I don't know, a lot of you I know out there have not given up on President Trump coming in. You know, I a lot of times fall into the conspiracy theories, but the heck of it is, everybody's saying that he's the president-elect, you know, and that's one of those old rules of thumb, is you don't argue with people that buy ink by the barrel. and that goes the same whether that's on social media or whatever. But I think there is some evidence that Trump is fighting back a little bit. And one notable thing that I noticed on Monday is that your overseas odds, which they were having a big gambling pool as to who was going to be inaugurated the next president of the United States, your overseas odds on President Trump regaining his presidency went from 27 to 1 to less than 10 to 1 in just 12 hours on Monday. So there's something out there, and I think we all know that there was some fraud involved there, whether it was enough or whether you can prove it or how you can go back and get those votes back out. But I don't think this thing is completely over yet, and it'll sure be interesting to watch. But you can sure bet that the Biden and Harris folks, they're not paying any attention to it. It's about like Hunter Biden's tapes off of his laptop, not paying any attention to that. And they can, whenever you can bull the mainstream media and make people believe whatever you want them to believe, things get pretty easy for you all of a sudden. But let's talk about your cattle market today. How about your cattle futures for Monday's close? December live cattle futures up 317, 111.82 on the close. February live cattle futures up 292, 115.07. It's kind of nice to test those new daily limits on the upside for a change here, other than the downside, and we really tested them on the feeder cattle. But that December live up over $3 on the first day. That's something new that we haven't been able to see before. But you go on the out fronts on December on your live cattle futures on your forward contracts down the line. They were all up from $1.20 to $2.37. November feeder cattle up 392 at 141.62. Look at January feeder cattle, and they have regained a bunch, and we talked about that on our last visit. They had jumped over $8.50 in the last couple of weeks there, after we saw that big drop off whenever our market kind of crashed there for a week or so right before that cattle on feed report. But they'd regained over $8.50. Well, just on Monday they gained another $4.80. Well, they couldn't do that before. That was more than they could gain the first day. And that's not the limit, so we haven't reached the limits moves yet, and I guess maybe they were smart with these expanded limits if we're not going to hit them and lock things up so much. But January feeder cattle futures ended the day on Monday at 140.72. That's a bunch higher than what we've seen of late. Going out front, and they were all higher, going down the line from $1.90 up to $4.77 higher. Your weighted average on last week's direct fed cattle movement in your 5-area feeding region, I said we were going to get really close or break 100,000. We did. 101,300 head. Now, this is just me. This is just my view on things. Somebody that's been in this business for going on 30 years, and it's just the 100,000. We used to get 100,000 in at least 4 out of 5 of your feeding areas. But the way things are now, with so much formula trade, 100,000 head in your 5-area feeding region, that is a robust trade to me. 100,000 head. I know it's disappointing if you compare it back to what we used to do in the 90s, but 101,300 head for last week, that's pretty good trade. Pretty good trade, guys. It's better than 75% robust on the voluntary program that NCBA wants. It's not as good as a minimum mandated negotiated cash level, but if we could keep something around 100,000 head, that's enough where people can kind of get in there, sell cattle if they want, and it's an active market. You compare that 101,300 head we had last week in the 5 area to the previous week, which was 46,200 head, which is ridiculously low and should not even be allowed to happen. And then compare it to 101.3 to a year ago, is 99,100 head, and we were just starting to get things back to normal a year ago this week after the big fire at Holcomb, Kansas. But But pretty good movement there, and I tell you what, it was darn good, and we think we should gain some more ground this week. We would have thought so even if your board hadn't been up so big on Monday. We'd have sure thought we were going to gain a buck or two, even though we had big movement last week. But now we absolutely should gain some more, and it's however much the guys want to dig in and ask for. Why wouldn't they ask for $1.12 this week? Got December live cattle futures sitting at 111.82. Wouldn't they like to get back on the right side of the basis there? Ask $1.12. Maybe you don't get it, but at least if you ask $1.12 and kind of hold firm, you could get $1.10 or 11. But a lot of people are thinking, well, maybe we'll get $1.08 or 9. But last week we did have live sales steers and heifers from 101 to 107. Weighted average on live steers was 106.33. That was up $2.09 compared to the weighted average from the previous week. Dress sales ranged in price through the week from 158 to 167. Huge spread there, but your high prices were all at the end of the week and we're on the upswing. But weighted average on dress steers was 165.35. That was up $4.16 compared to the weighted average on dress steers from the previous week. So very, very good movement, very good jump in the market. We should see at least that much again this week here. Nationwide cash sales were 124,700 head. That's pretty impressive. Of that 124,700, about 27% of those, or just short of 34,000 of them, were for the 15 to 30 day delivery. We don't really like that. We like to keep things up close and current delivery because it keeps the packers from using that against you and dragging out what their needs there a little bit. But that 124,700 head cash sales nationwide, compare that to your formula sales, which are another 256,700 head last week, and a negotiated grid, which some of the people are starting to say is our savior, 18,200, which is basically nothing. But box beef cutout values were a bunch higher on Monday, and I tell you what, where we've gotten to the time of the year where it's going to start that. I mentioned on our last visit we're really getting into the holidays, whether we've really looked up and acknowledged that or not. But I noticed I'm starting to hear Christmas carols more places, and you guys will too, and that means better beef demand. And if we get this COVID to start getting it behind us, of course, now that Biden assumes he's in, he's also talking about a mandatory mask nationwide, or maybe locking things down. I don't know, but on the other hand, if we've got a vaccine out there, of course, we don't know how many people's going to be able to get it or how many people want it. But maybe we'll be having some Christmas get-togethers, but a lot of people are going to be sending boxes of steaks. People will be getting together in their homes, and that's something that they kind of know how to cook. Throw a steak on the grill, and most men can kind of handle that, although most of them overcook them. But look at box beef cutout values on Monday. Choice cuts up $3.07 at $217.39. Select up $3.88 at $202.37. So impressive gains early in the week on box beef, and that'll make your packers less resistant to the higher market. But excuse me. A lot of people are saying that packers are going to be kind of scrambling to get all the product that they need because they've made a lot of out front sales, guys. And I know we're seeing a higher market hand to mouth on this current delivery stuff, but they have sold a lot of product out front, and they may be kind of challenged to keep their slaughter up heavy enough to supply all that product that they've already promised to folks up there. But and we have seen our choice, and most of that product they've promised is choice, and we have seen a little bit of drop off on our choice product, but for the last available information, choice and better products still averaging over, or still adding up to over 82%, which is humongous if you look at it in the whole scheme of things. It's unbelievable how the cattle in the southern plains are grading as well as they are. Well, one reason they're doing it is because they've got carcasses that weigh 930 pounds. But we're due to see those weights start to come down, and some people are saying that they're going to come down drastically in the next few weeks. If that does, that's going to be another big jolt of bullishness into the market if we see these carcass weights start coming down, and be anxious to see that happen. Let's talk about what else is going on. Big feeder sales all over, big calf specials. Did see impressive prices on calves, and I noted last week that we regained fully everything that we had lost a couple of weeks before when we were down in the market, and it's really a good deal because we've got a lot of heavy sales coming back. Our Southern Plains high volume sales came back to respectable levels here this week. We're still seeing big specials. Winter Livestock continuing to have specials on Monday in LaHunna and in Pratt, and saw some of the quotes come out of there. They were very impressive. On Tuesday here, one of our DV favorite markets, it's not one of our bigger ones, but one of our favorites, Wahoo Livestock in Wahoo, Nebraska. They've got Customer Appreciation Day here this Tuesday, and you can dial right in to dvauction.com, view and bid that sale, and they've got a preconditioned and weaned calf special there. So if you want some weaned cattle there, and there should be plenty of quality there, it won't be as many head as a lot of your big sales up in the northern plains, but the quality will sure be there, and you might be able to kind of sneak in there and get some weaned calves that you really like, and some of the preconditioned program for not much more, or about the same as what you're getting some of these other reputation cattle for. Also on Tuesday, Bluegrass Stockyards in Lexington, and that's the flagship location there for all your bluegrass markets in Kentucky. They've got a good run of yearlings on Tuesday like they normally do, some backgrounded. They've even got some grass yearlings advertised there. But one thing in particular they're going to have is they're having the final dispersal of the University of Kentucky dairy program, and man, you just hate to see those go out, and we're getting thin already in our ag colleges with not being able to hold those things together. But these giant dairies have just forced everybody out, and most of our colleges are not able to keep those going either. But University of Kentucky, they've been selling those out kind of long, but this is the final dispersal. They've got about 60 milking cows right off the line there. They're going to be for sale at Bluegrass Lexington. They've also got some bred heifers and some dry cows that are bred back. But it's just kind of an interesting thing, and you can dial on to dvauction.com and view that also if you want to watch that dispersal there of the University of Kentucky dairy cattle program. How about your feeder cattle markets? Your real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Monday sitting at 135.88, up just 7 cents. And you thought maybe there would have been more than that because we did see higher markets all around, but we're just not seeing hardly any yearlings anymore. And so if there's no yearlings left, any of those cattle that'll be in that 700 to 899 pound weight range that make up those index levels, they're going to be giant calves, and they're just people don't want those nearly as bad. Although the market's holding on them, but with our prices as much higher as they were on Monday, you'd have thought maybe you'd have seen that go up a little bit more, but that's why they didn't. Look at your big sales. Oklahoma National Stockyards, Oklahoma City, 11,300 head. They were only estimating 10,000 head, so that's telling me that the weather's nice. They're a little bit behind on marketing because they were slow for a couple of weeks there. They had a lot of power outages and things like that, and ice storms people were dealing with, but really nice weather, a little bit windy. But people are bringing cattle in and not even calling ahead and telling them they were coming. But underestimated their offering by 1,300 head there. But good market in Oklahoma City. Feeder steers $5 to $8 higher. Feeder heifers steady to $5 higher. Calves selling $4 to $10 higher, and they were sharply higher on lighter run last week, guys. So they've really gained a lot of ground there in Oklahoma City, and that's your nation's feeder cattle market here to start the week, and always a good sign when Oklahoma City starts the week out that much higher. And they would have been a lot higher even without the board, but the board sure helped too. Joplin Regional Stockyard, still a lighter run for them, 5,400 head. Steers were steady to $5 higher. Some Pee-wee 4-weight steer calves would have been sharply higher, and all weights and classes of heifers about steady. Russell Livestock, Russell, Iowa, they had about 2,200 head there. Compared to 2 weeks ago, they're feeding type cattle, and a lot of those would be bigger calves. They were quite a bit higher. Calves were mixed, and if you remember 2 weeks ago, while everybody else was still kind of floundering in a lower market, Russell was just selling the tails off of them. So that's how come they kind of did not go along with the other markets and on a 2 week ago test there. How about Faith Livestock, Faith, South Dakota? Big run there. Only place you'll see this market reported, 8,800 head. Calves sure $3 to $6 higher in your popular weights. Look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central and look at some of your best tested weights. 1,849 head of 4-weight steer calves, averaged 459 at 178.59. Included in there was a string of 128 head, 416 pounders at 196. That would have been the top calf quote anywhere on Monday. How about 2,765 head of 5-weight steer calves, average 551 at 163.44. On the heifer side, 1,483 head of the 4-weight heifers, average 451 at 155.31. And 1,450 head of 5-weight heifers, average 533 at 152.51. That's a heck of a quote on all the 5-weight heifers at a big sale in Faith, South Dakota. But your top quote of the day, Zach Tran, top quote of the day, come out of Russell, Iowa, Russell Livestock, 65 head, 835 pound feeder steers, bring 150.85. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.